Why are two of the most important countries in the Americas clashing over tariffs and deportations? Recently, Colombia's bold move to impose a 25% tariff on U.S. goods in response to Trump's restrictions has sparked a high-stakes trade war, with both countries digging in their heels. What follows is a complex web of retaliatory measures, trade disruptions, and diplomatic challenges with significant economic impact, or perhaps a resolution to the clash caused by the Trump administration. Let's find out. The conflict between Colombia and the U.S. began with a diplomatic row over deportation flights. President Gustavo Petro of Colombia refused to accept U.S. military planes carrying deported migrants. The U.S. retaliated with sanctions and trade restrictions, the most significant being a 25% tariff on Colombian goods. This escalated the situation, transforming what began as a political disagreement into an economic showdown. The roots of the trade war didn't begin in boardrooms or financial markets, but in a political dispute over deportation flights. The Trump administration aggressively enforced immigration policies, including deporting undocumented migrants. As part of this effort, the U.S. requested Colombia to accept military planes carrying deported migrants. For many nations, accepting these flights would have been straightforward. But for Colombia, it wasn't so simple. President Gustavo Petro, who took office in 2022, viewed the treatment of migrants as a moral issue. He argued that migrants should not be treated as criminals, but as individuals deserving humane treatment. Petro rejected U.S. military planes, citing concerns about inhumane treatment of migrants under U.S. policies and Colombia's role in facilitating such actions. This decision, rooted in Colombia's long-standing struggle with migration and human rights, was not just political. Petro had campaigned on social justice and progressive values, promising to protect the rights of vulnerable populations, including migrants. For the Trump administration, however, Petro's actions were seen as an affront to U.S. sovereignty and efforts to manage illegal immigration. The U.S. government viewed Colombia's refusal as a breakdown in diplomatic relations and a prioritization of political stances over the interests of an ally. Soon after, Trump's administration retaliated with economic sanctions and a 25% tariff on Colombian goods. The imposition of this tariff marked a significant shift in the economic relationship between the two countries. The U.S. and Colombia have long had a strong trade partnership, with the U.S. being Colombia's largest trade partner. This partnership was built on the export of key Colombian goods, such as crude oil, coffee, and fresh-cut flowers, all vital to Colombia's economy. However, the tariffs disrupted this system, altering the flow of trade between the two nations. The impact on Colombia was immediately felt, particularly in industries dependent on the U.S. market. For instance, the flower industry, where Colombia is the largest exporter of fresh-cut flowers globally, saw reduced demand as the 25% tariff made flowers significantly more expensive for U.S. consumers. This threatened the livelihood of thousands of Colombian flower farmers. Similarly, the oil industry was affected. Colombia, the fourth largest supplier of crude oil to the U.S., saw disruptions as refineries relied on Colombian oil to meet demand. Coffee exports, another major sector, also faced challenges, as the U.S., one of the largest consumers of Colombian coffee, felt the effects of increased costs caused by the tariffs. Uncertainty in this trade relationship. Coffee farmers, who depend on export revenues to support their families and communities, found themselves in a precarious situation as the U.S. market once their most dependable customer, became more expensive and less accessible. For the US, these tariffs also posed risks. While American businesses were less affected by tariff increases compared to Colombian industries, there were still significant consequences. The US had grown accustomed to Colombian goods as an affordable source of raw materials and agricultural products. The increased cost of imports could drive up prices for US businesses, leading to inflation and higher consumer costs. The overall economic impact of the tariffs on both countries highlights how deeply interwoven their economies are. Soon after, Colombia imposed a 25% tariff, with the possibility of increasing it to 50%. However, following this decision, the US quickly moved to resolve the issue, no matter the cost. After many rounds of negotiation, the matter was settled, and it seemed that the clash had come to an end. Colombia agreed to resume accepting US deportation flights, including those carried out by military planes. However, the deal came with important conditions. Colombia demanded that the US adopt more humane deportation practices, including better treatment of migrants and assurances that deportations would not violate international human rights standards. In return, the US agreed to suspend additional tariffs and penalties, providing temporary relief to Colombia's struggling industries. The 25% tariff was lifted, and the flow of Colombian goods into the US resumed. While this deal was seen as a victory for the US in securing Colombia's cooperation, it was also considered a diplomatic win for Colombia, as it allowed them to stand firm on human rights issues while preventing further economic damage. However, the agreement was far from perfect. The ideological divide between the two countries remained intact, and underlying issues such as the treatment of migrants and the role of the US in foreign immigration policies were not fully addressed. Although both sides stepped back from further escalation, the possibility of future conflicts remained. The resolution of the trade war between Colombia and the US may have provided temporary relief, but it did little to address the deeper tensions that have shaped their relationship for years. Colombia's stance on human rights and immigration will likely continue to clash with US policies. The 25% tariff served as a reminder of how quickly these tensions can escalate. Looking ahead, the future of US-Colombia relations depends on how both countries manage their differences in the coming years. If the Trump administration adopts a more compassionate approach to immigration, it could ease tensions with Colombia. However, if the US continues to take a hardline approach, Colombia will likely remain steadfast in its opposition, potentially leading to further diplomatic confrontations. In the long term, Colombia's approach to US relations may also evolve. While the current government under President Pro has taken a strong stance on protecting migrant rights, future administrations in Colombia may prioritize economic recovery over human rights concerns. Do you think the matter is sorted now? Is there a need for Trump to change his strategy? Let us know in the comments section. Will he change his plans or force others to do so? If you want to watch more videos like this, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to stay updated. We've decided to create videos on topics nobody talks about: African politics, the economy, and its increasing power. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned. Tell us what you think in the comments section. Like and share the video, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our African videos. It's the best way to support us.